Hi, welcome to Adventures with Reid and Tiff. My name is Reid, and today I'm going to talk about a couple of cool little gadgets that might be helpful for you if you're a backcountry camper that uses isobutane canisters for your cooking fuel. So the two gadgets are the Flip Fuel device. This is by the brand Flip Fuel, but there are other uh, cheaper versions on Amazon. And then also the Jet Boil Crunch It, which is a little device for piercing isobutane canisters. So if you're like me, at the end of your trip, you have maybe half, maybe a quarter of your canister left, and it's not enough that you're going to take it with you on your next trip. If you are doing something like car camping, it doesn't really matter to bring another canister with you and use up your partially empty canister first and then use the other one. But you're not going to bring extra canisters when you're backpacking or when you're portaging either, when weight as well as bulk is something that you're considering. So for that, this little device is helpful. And what they do with this device is it's a one-way valve, and you take whichever one of these canisters you want to receive the fuel, you put it in the freezer for 5 to 10 minutes and screw it onto the device, and then whichever one you want to give fuel from, you put it out in the sun again 5 to 10 minutes, and then you screw it onto the top. And then once those two are on, you open the valve and you'll hear the whooshing sound of the gas going from one to the other. So it works on the temperature differential that you have created by freezing one and putting the other in the sun. It says not to do anything to heat it up other than putting it in the sun because obviously you don't want to put any sort of flame or any high heat source to it. So the sun is just the safe way in order to warm up the canister, but follow the instructions to make sure that you're doing it safely. One of the things that the instructions only goes through is doing what I just said in terms of the steps once. What I've found is if you do it once, you still end up with a lot of fuel left in the canister that you are trying to empty. But if you do it twice, then you can almost empty your canister. And if you're checking as you go, maybe you'd need to do it a third time, but I've only ever had to do it twice. And the difference is quite a bit in terms of the amount of fuel. I recently just consolidated a bunch of canisters into this one large one just to store it and to get rid of a lot of medium or large ones from other trips. But when I did it with it just being a single transfer, I knew that there was quite a bit of fuel in it, but I wanted to get an idea of how much fuel there was, not just by weight, but in terms of for boiling time. And so I put my pocket rocket on top of the canister, and it actually burned for 6 minutes before it burned out, which is quite a bit of fuel. And certainly I want to transfer as much fuel into canisters that I'm going to use versus burning it or purging it and piercing the canister when I'm doing that. And so by doing it twice, it only ran for my pocket rocket only ran for about 30 seconds. So a much smaller amount of fuel was left, and certainly I felt better about both getting the fuel to use later, but also so that I wasn't just wasting fuel. The other thing that you can use this for is related to being a little bit more economical. So a large canister is only a couple of dollars more than a small canister, at least where I am. And so the small canisters are the ones that I like to take on my backpacking trips, but you use up most of it over the course of a backpacking trip. And by using the transfer device, I can take fuel from the larger canisters that are cheaper and refill this. The only thing, the major thing to note if you're doing that is that you have to be a little bit more careful about how much you are putting in. if you're taking a canister that has, say, 100 grams and putting it into another canister that is empty that can take 400 grams, you're not really worrying about how quickly and how much you're transferring. But if you're putting something that has 400 grams into something that has 100 grams, then you want to make sure that you're doing it slowly and controlled so that you don't overfill these. And one of the things to use for that would be something like a small kitchen scale in order to weigh the actual canister as you go to make sure that you're not overfilling it in terms of the amount of fuel you're putting in. And then a disclaimer for this: follow the instructions. This video in no way replaces the instructions. These are put together to ensure your safety, so make sure that you follow that, including on the back, the cautions say do not overfill the canisters, consolidate only fuels of the same kind, you only use flip fuel in a well-ventilated area away from flames, and that's why I didn't actually do it inside. Probably dispose of empty canisters, so that might mean that you're recycling them once you've pierced them if you are allowed to in your jurisdiction, or it might mean after you pierce it you're throwing them out, or possibly taking it to a retail store that accepts empty canisters, and then also not for commercial use. So this is for personal use. I wouldn't bring this into the backcountry. Maybe some people do. It's not very heavy, so it's not like it's much of a weight penalty. It's only 34 grams. But for me personally, I just don't see that as being too useful in the backcountry versus just consolidating everything when you're at home. I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you watched till the end, please subscribe. We are trying to grow this channel in order to provide more videos like this. And please check out some of the other videos that we've done as well. Thank you.